tensions between India and Canada over the Nijjar killing. CNN News 18 has accessed exclusive images of K-leader Nijjar with an Ak-47 in his hand. Now, according to an intel source, Nijjar visited Pakistan to meet another Jagtar Tara, who blew up the Chief Minister of Punjab in a suicide bombing in Pakistan. Now, in 2015, Pakistan's ISI assisted Nijjar in organizing secret training camps for Khalistani extremist groups. Well, joining me on the broadcast is my colleague Anand Narasimhan. A very good morning, Anand. Well, given the recent exchange of travel advisories, how do we assess the current situation in the diplomatic relations between the two nations?
Well, I think the larger story is on Hardeep Nijjar and the fact that did Canadian authorities know and did they look the other way? Why the love for somebody who's not just the head of a Khalistan Tiger force, but this is open proof that there is Pakistani involvement about harboring and also helping terrorists on Canadian soil. The larger story now is not about what happened with Nijjar or who killed Nijjar, because that the Canadian authorities have to prove. The Canadian authorities, in terms of the cops, they have not registered an FIR, they have made no arrests, they have not released the face of any of the murderers, intended murderers or suspects. They have in fact not even been able to identify who killed Ripudaman Singh. So there are a lot of, 2 years ago, they have not even filed an FIR on that aspect. So, and all of these are, Ripudaman Singh is a former Khalistani who was accused in the IC-182 Kanishka bombings in 1985. So he was one of the people who got acquitted. But in this case, and both of these people were fighting against each other, and Nijjar had openly threatened Ripudaman Singh. But even in the case of Nijjar, other than credible allegations and credible reasons, Canadian authorities have been able to prove nothing. But these pictures that we've now accessed here via Group Editor Security, Manoj Gupta, show the presence of Hardeep Nijjar with another Khalistan Tiger Force terrorist, Jagtar Singh Tara, on top of the Sarai in Nankana Sahib. Nankana Sahib is in Pakistan. Right. And that means that they were using a religious place, that is Nankana Sahib, a holy place, for terrorist activities and for Khalistani activities. And the Pakistani involvement is openly understood because there is heavy presence of the ISI in these areas. And if these people are there, that means the ISI is well aware. And Nijjar had been very clearly there was an attempt to cultivate him and co-opt him by the ISI, which CNN News 18 has reported back in 2017 too. Right. And this was just around the time that the Interpol Red Corner notice had also been issued against Hardeep Nijjar. And despite the Red Corner notice, how is it that he got Canadian citizenship? How is it that he was being allowed to travel to Pakistan and also hold an AK-47, which according to Canadian gun laws is a banned weapon in Canada?
Right, okay. Thank you so much, Anand. Well, joining us on the broadcast is the security analyst, Patikrit Payan. A very good morning, Patikrit. Well, we've seen that you has also reacted to this diplomatic concern between India and Canada, while the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, reiterates that India is alleged in the involvement. How do we assess these responses and statements coming from the United States also?
Well, I'm a little surprised by the stand that United States is taking, and it's very surprising because at times United States try to play the game of being a very strong ally of India, and at the same time they cast all kind of aspersions on us. Let me tell you, United States have a program called Extraordinary Rendition, under which they used to go anywhere in the world. They had a policy to go anywhere in the world and extract any person who is responsible and accused of killing or harming any American. Now, if the Americans can do such things, then I see no reason why they can point fingers at others. Secondly, on the issue of Nijjar, there is absolutely no proof of any Indian involvement. There are these factional gang fights and a rivalry that is going on for a long time among these splinter groups of the Khalistani elements. There is a strong correlation between what Pakistan wants to do against India and how their elements are propping up the Khalistanis in Canada. Canada's Prime Minister is supposed to be very, very close to certain elements residing in Canada with connection with ISI. And in the recent past, which is very surprising, Canada's Prime Minister has allowed a large number of Pakistani students to come into Canada and at a time when Pakistanis are actually getting restricted entry in other countries of the world. So United States, a country which says that they are very much against all kinds of terror groups, I don't understand why they have one kind of stand when it comes to fighting against Al-Qaeda or terror organizations which have targeted United States, and on the other hand, they have a completely different standard when it comes to countering other such organizations which propagate extremist violence, which are secessionist in nature, and which are harming such countries which are strategic partners of United States, which is India. So this is where I think there's a dichotomy, there's a double standard, there's hypocrisy on the part of the Americans, and the Americans must understand one thing, that the Americans themselves went inside Pakistan to kill bin Laden. So when they can do such things, they have absolutely no right to question anybody else, especially when there is absolutely no proof of Indian involvement. And secondly, these organizations are known for extremist violence. Number one, they have been talking about secession of India. So they have been, talking about referendum. If Canada is as a sovereign country is considering India as an ally, then why, as an ally of India, you are allowing referendum? You are allowing these organizations to proliferate, which are into all kinds of drug-related syndicates, organized crime syndicates, and also doing terror activities closely connected and funded and trained by ISI. So I think the West somewhere, while they try to pretend to act as strong allies of India, sometimes I think they use these elements, they use these causes to actually try to pressurize a country like India, which is emerging out of the shackles and creating its own space among the global South. So you see the pattern. India's success as the president of G20 is now being followed by all these kind of unfortunate pressures that are being created by the Western countries on India.
Okay, thank you so much, Patikrit, for all your views. Well, let's listen in to what White House's Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre's statement on the diplomatic standoff between India and Canada.
So I know that National Security Advisor spoke to this yesterday, and I know there's been some new reporting. I don't have anything to certainly, and this is something that Jake said himself. He was not going to comment about private diplomatic conversations. I'm not going to do that either. Just following what the National Security Advisor said, and so. Just not going to comment on that. Obviously, we are deeply concerned, as he said as well, and so what the Prime Minister has referenced here, the Prime Minister of Canada, and so we remain in regular contact with the Canadian government and Canadian partners. But of course, I'm just not going to comment on diplomatic conversations from here. So we have engaged, as Jake said, our National Security Advisor with the Indian government, but certainly we're not going to get into our private diplomatic conversations, as he said as well. But yes, there has been conversations with our partners in the Indian government, as Jake stated yesterday.